It's the Morning Market Minute, UPBOptionMillionaires.com on this June 2nd, 2015. It's a Tuesday. S&P 500 futures pulling back after the European market opened. Recovered some of those losses and now continuing back to the downside. We can see if we can hold last week's lows. That's what we did early this morning. Right across there, you draw a trend line. We see if we come back to it after the market opens for trade. After hitting record highs, we've seen a pretty nice pullback here. And you look, you draw a trend line across, could not bust out. The consolidation, we'll see where it ends. If you draw a trend line across, we're meeting a couple points here this morning, and that could be an area of support. We'll see Greece jitters are being used as the excuse for today's sell-off. My goodness, it's the 75th time since 2011 we've heard that. If you look at the U.S. dollar index pulling back, I was talking about it yesterday, a nice spike it's had the last couple weeks, consolidation, another spike. But again, I think it's good for the market if it doesn't head back over triple digits too soon. Also would like to see the rally and the declines kind of narrow a little bit. We don't want to see these spastic 1% moves in either direction. We'll see what happens today. It's down almost 0.75%. Look at the euro dollar index, which is seems poised to head to parity, but it's having a big spike this morning, up over 1%. Again, bouncing near the lows it hit in March. You draw the trend line across, bouncing off of that trend line. Let's look at gold, which is rallying a little bit this morning, up 1/3%. You could draw a trend line across here as well. And you can see it spiking a little bit here now, about 20 minutes before the market is going to open for trade. Crude oil is also seeing a bounce. The weaker dollar is probably helping this morning. You see off the lows earlier, again, at the middle of March. Actually, the same time GoPro bottom. The GoPro's been on a tear ever since. You can see trying to break out to highs of the year. We'll see if we can get up there. Let's look at some individual names. Let's go to Twitter. Again, trying to narrow out here. You can see the range after its decline post-earnings. It's kind of narrowing out, slowing down a little bit, and we'll see if the sellers run out looking for a move up. Let's look at Intel. I love this stock for downside. I know they had a big acquisition announced yesterday. Analysts came out and said, oh, this is bullish for the stock. We're keeping a $40 or $50 price target, somewhere around there. And it's exactly what the analyst said. But if I look at the stock here from a 5-year weekly chart, looks like a beautiful head and shoulders topping pattern is underway. It's being formed, and that would imply a move down to the neckline here to 30 level. Let's look at Google. Since the start of 2015, it's been stuck in this 550 range. Unbelievable. Option sellers doing great, selling anything above and below this area. But I think as prices slow down here and coil up, we're getting ready for that move. I would say it's going to head higher just because the trend for the marketplace is higher. But really, if you look at it, I think it's going to head down and get a nice, good washout to 500 before it does it to new record highs. Some unusual option action yesterday. LLY seeing some nice 79 put action. Might jump on that trade. We'll see how the action, bring on the action, is this morning if it holds that $79 level. But the premiums are pretty inexpensive considering this was a $74 stock just a couple days ago. And we have Ryder, and you can see it's just off its record highs, but pulling back some action. We're seeing heading out to July, $75 puts, a little bit of a lotto action, but also seeing the 85s and the 80s out into November. So I might hop on this. We see continued weakness. And another stock we saw yesterday pulling back and also some continued bearish action was VNCE. It's down to the 1542 level, so the 1250 puts. So that's something to keep an eye on. All right, UPB, I'll see the chat room at OptionMillionaires.com. Let's look at S&P 500 futures real quick before we leave. It's about 10 minutes before, 15 minutes before the market's going to open for trade here. S&P 500 futures down almost 0.2%. And heading lower, looks like we're going to come and retest the support from last week. UPB, goodbye.